Did you get to see the Chinese balloon overhead on Friday? I know I did. I was driving to dinner with Megan and looked up in the sky as the twilight was on the horizon. The sun had just gone down. It was a gorgeous sunset, beautiful prairie sunset. And then you just see this huge glaring white dot in the sky. And I'm like, that's got to be it, right? Because we were seeing reports that the balloon was seen in Missouri, around St. Louis and Cape Girardeau and so on. So it only makes sense that it would have been up in the sky overhead in central Illinois, especially when we had clear skies. So did you see it? Of course, we'll be talking about the spy balloon, and it was being shot over the weekend over the ocean. And you had President Joe Biden sounding off about this, and he was asked what exactly happened. When he gave the orders, he stopped briefly just to talk with media about this. Again, briefly to talk with media about this. And here's how that sounded. And a little uncertainty here in as far as exactly when he gave the order and who pushed back. And was the pushback what kept the balloon actually being shot down? Or did the president want it shot down earlier? And is the president really making the decisions here? Or is he giving in to what his advisors have to say? So here's President Joe Biden over the weekend talking about the time he said shoot the balloon down.
Briefed on the balloon. I ordered the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible. They decided, without doing damage to anyone on the ground, they decided that the best time to do that was as it got over water outside within the 12-mile limit. They successfully took it down, and I want to compliment our aviators who did it, and we'll have more to report on this a little later. Thank you.
Mr. President, what does it say about China? What's the message to China?
You were saying the recommendation was from your national security.
I told them to shoot it down.
On Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
But the recommendation
They said to me, let's wait till the safest place to do it.
What does this mean for China, relations with China?
So again, he says he told them Wednesday, and they pushed back and said that we'll wait until it's the safest time to do it. When was the safest time to do it? Apparently, not when it was over sparsely populated Montana, but as it blew over and got an entire view of the central part of the United States before it gets over to the ocean around South Carolina, and then that's when we see it being shot down. And a lot of reaction to it being shot down. Here's just some of it, and we've got video online, which is just incredible to see all this come together. But eyewitnesses, people watching this themselves, and seeing and hearing some of the reactions is pretty remarkable. Again, here's just some of the reaction from one vantage point.
Here we go. Boom! Wow!
That's my Air Force right there, buddy.
So a lot of people pretty excited watching that again in clear skies and seeing the Air Force at work and blowing this thing out of the sky, and just the video itself is remarkable, especially the up close video when you see that missile just go through and take it out. It's pretty remarkable, and watching it in different vantage points. Pretty incredible. But you also have people who are making all kinds of memes about it, including somebody making a meme about a crazy hit in baseball, and the ball goes flying out of the park and hits the balloon. Boom. You also had somebody riff off of Happy Gilmore, which, he hits the ball, and the ball goes through a neighborhood, and then it's all of a sudden hits the balloon and blows it up. So a lot of people making some funny memes here. But even I think is most amazing is this particular bit of audio, and I had to edit this for the radio because it's pretty priceless. But here we go. Okay, so somebody posted this: when your drunk buddy gets a video shooting the Chinese balloon down.
Wow. What is that?
He threw a missile at it.
He did.
He threw a missile at it.
Oh, he
got it. He got it.
Oh,
I got it, dude. I got it.
Oh, you get it.
I got it.
Oh, my God.
I got it, baby.
Oh,
I got it.
Excited, baby. Oh,
yeah.
Oh!
I'll
my
be
God.
China. Out there,
Oh,
dude.
he shot!
I got that. Hell yeah.
Oh, you got him! Oh, you get good?
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Hell yeah. I mean, China.
oh my God!
You
we got
badass.
him! Ooh,
You
got
bad
you got
son of a
about that
bitch,
phone,
boy.
So, yeah, obviously people pretty excited to see it shot down, but there's a lot of pushback about why it took so long for this to happen. And why did the United States intelligence wait for it to traverse the entire central part of the United States, including overhead here in central Illinois? And there's a lot of questions of, well, maybe they wanted to monitor the balloon to see how it was operating. Maybe even the possibility it had certain payload on it. Maybe it had some hazardous material on it, so where if you did shoot it down and then it falls over a populated area, you could have some hazardous material out there. There's also speculation that this thing was possibly equipped with many drones that it may have been dropping. There's all kinds of speculation out there, but what's fascinating is that it took practically a week for them to shoot this thing out of the sky. So your thoughts on all of this, of course, we'll get to those at 217-629-7970. Good morning. Thanks for calling in. How's your Monday been?
Monday's great, but, can't complain. I can understand why you wouldn't want to shoot it down over Montana. Let's face it, it's the middle of winter, lots of snow. Who wants to go up in the mountains looking for debris? And if you're looking from a long term, from like an analyst aspect of it, you want to know what this balloon's going to do. What's its purpose? Why is it there? So why not get it close to the end of its journey and figure out what it did gather and how it gathered it, so you can kind of understand maybe what they were going to do. Yeah. I'm with you on the hazardous material. I kind of wonder about that. My whole thought was, why did the military just put a couple of 50-millimeter holes through it instead of putting a missile through it? It would have come down nice and slow. It's a helium balloon. You put a hole in a helium balloon, they come down real nice and easy.
Yeah, and that's a great question. I'm not sure the rationale behind what munitions they did use. Maybe it was the where it was altitude-wise, but I've also heard mixed reports that it wasn't 60,000 up. It was 38,000 or 40,000 up. So not sure as to why they chose the munitions they used. But yeah, listen, I mean, there's going to be a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking when it comes to what exactly happened with the Chinese spy balloon. But some of the headlines here: another possible Chinese spy balloon detected by Latin American country. You also had word that there was one again in Canada. Questions of whether it was a weather balloon for civilian purposes, as China claims, or if it was a spy balloon. You even have the former president chiming in on this as well. President Trump saying that this is a bigger problem. He says that the current president, Joe Biden, is compromised by China, and this is just one element he points to as saying this is a major concern. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Hey, Bishop. I wonder why this wasn't taken down when it crossed over our airspace in the Aleutian Islands. Could have been taken down either overland or over the ocean before it even got to mainland, the contiguous 48.
It's a great question. And this was something that they apparently did see over Alaska before it entered into Canadian airspace. So they would have had plenty of time even then to work with Canada to maybe address this. But again, they didn't. They waited until it got over the U.S., until civilians in Montana saw it, then blew the whistle on it, putting it all over the internet, and then they had to address it. What's fascinating here, and I appreciate the call, is there seems to be there were balloons that were shot out of the sky with Donald Trump. We're not shot out of the sky, but balloons seen in the sky under Donald Trump. So what's the big deal about all this, right? And I don't know if that's something that, quite frankly, a lot of people are going to stand by, including the former intelligence chief under former President Donald Trump. He heard these allegations that were apparently on ABC. Here's just a brief clip at the tail end of an interview that Marco Rubio had with ABC News over the weekend. And it's kind of telling that the reporter doesn't really wait to get Marco Rubio's response. He just kind of blurts this out.
What we're dealing with, this is what I'm going to do about it. and this is why I haven't done it yet. None of that happened, and I don't know why. And in fact, I don't know why they waited so long to tell people about this. And if they knew the trajectory that it was on, it seems from late last week.
Right, and we're also told, by the way, that that this happened 3 times under the previous president. Obviously, there were no public notifications there. Senator Rubio, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
And you see Rubio in that interview clip kind of shake his head a bit and question. He just hears this, and then all of a sudden the interview's over. Well, Fox News talked to John Ratcliffe. He is the former intelligence chief under former President Donald Trump, and he just equivocally denied that allegation that this spy balloon incident happened 3 times during the former Trump administration.
There were 3 balloons, Chinese spy balloons, that entered the United States airspace during the Trump administration, and that they were not shot down and they were not disclosed. Can you please tell us the truth and if that's true?
Well, it's not true. I can refute it. Former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper refuted it yesterday. Former Secretary of State and CIA Director Mike Pompeo has refuted it. But Maria, the American people can refute it for themselves. Do you remember during the Trump administration when photographers on the ground and commercial airline pilots were talking about a spy balloon over the United States that people could look up and see even with the naked eye, and that a media that hated Donald Trump wasn't reporting? I don't remember that either, because it didn't happen. As I said to you earlier, this was unprecedented. We have never had a circumstance where an adversary has had spy craft over our country, our continental United States, posing a threat for the better part of a week straight. And that's why I said to you before, not only is it unprecedented, but the damage from this is incalculable, both from an intelligence standpoint and the possible payloads. You talked a little bit earlier about the different types of payloads that a stratospheric balloon could carry. Those possibilities are limited only by your imagination. But what we do know is none of those are possible to be deployed against the United States if a stratospheric balloon isn't allowed to traipse across our countryside for 4 straight days.
So, again, pushing back on some of the reporting out there, hey, there were spy balloons overhead during the Trump administration, and Trump administration officials saying, no, that's not the case. Those would have been dealt with if that was something that happened, but it didn't. So, why that's being put out, well, it happened under Trump, so it's okay over Biden. I don't know. It's still something that raises a substantial amount of questions. What happened here? Why did it take so long to shoot this thing down? What was on that? And is this going to escalate tensions with China? All of this happening, of course, with a possible visit from U.S. foreign officials to China, or what's going to happen with increased tensions with that country. But then you've also got President Joe Biden set to deliver his State of the Union address Tuesday. So will this come up as well? Will China be chastised for violating U.S. airspace in such a blatant and belligerent manner? And what's next? Is China going to be deploying more of these? Was this just a, pun intended, trial balloon? Well, watch it closely. Next up, though, let's talk about the Second Amendment and the right of the people to keep and bear arms. A well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state. So we'll touch on that and issues in the